Hey everyone. There's a quiet revolution happening right now. It's not taking place in governments or big corporations, but deep inside the human spirit. More and more of us are beginning to seriously question something we've pretty much taken for granted all our lives, the very nature of reality itself. We've been raised, most of us, to believe that the world is this fixed, external place, just a sequence of cause and effect playing out around us, and we're just kind of along for the ride. We're taught to chase success, to fix problems, and to constantly react to circumstances as if we are merely observers of a mostly unchangeable landscape. But what if none of that is quite true? What if your reality isn't something that just happens to you, but something that actively, profoundly happens through you? The illusion of a fixed, separate world is incredibly powerful. It's reinforced by science textbooks, by cultural narratives, by even our most well-meaning mentors. We're told, be realistic, work hard, plan rationally, and ultimately, accept the way things are. But deep within, you may have always felt this quiet tension, this little nudge, this intuitive knowing that life is actually far more fluid, more magical, more interconnected than our everyday logic alone can explain. That feeling? It isn't foolishness. It's the call of a deeper truth. Reality, as modern quantum physics is now beginning to reveal to the wider world, is not the hard, cold, purely material thing we once assumed it to be. Instead, it's more like a field, a vast ocean of infinite possibilities, responding moment by moment to our thoughts, our emotions, and our deepest held beliefs. In this sense, what you see around you isn't like a static photograph, it's much more like a dynamic, living mirror, one that responds not just to your actions, but to the subtle, often unseen, vibrations of your inner world. Can you feel that shift already, just considering this? That subtle sense that you're not merely living in a world, but actively participating in its ongoing creation? Now, this isn't about magical thinking, in a dismissive sense, or just wishful dreaming. It's about reclaiming the inherent power of your perception. It's about understanding that what you've been calling reality may simply be a collection of energetic patterns that you've unconsciously agreed to keep repeating, the patterns of doubt, maybe the echo of childhood wounds, the inherited beliefs that tell you what you can or cannot do, what you can or cannot have or become. But just like any pattern, these can be rewritten. Not through force, not through struggle, but through gentle awareness, through conscious choice. And suddenly, reality stops being something out there, separate from you. It becomes intimate, malleable, even sacred. This doesn't mean you'll never face difficulty again. But it means you'll meet that difficulty with entirely different eyes, with the profound knowing that you're never truly powerless, never separate from the immense creative force of the universe. You might wonder, well, if this is true, why don't more people live this way? It's because awakening to this deeper truth is ultimately a choice, not some divine commandment. It requires you to willingly let go of the illusion of certainty, to loosen your tight grip on how things should be, to trade that need for control for a deep, abiding presence. The real question, then, is, are you willing to let your old, limited self dissolve so that your true, expansive life can finally emerge? Most people aren't, not yet. But you are here. You're engaging with these ideas. And somewhere in your heart, you already know the answer. This is where the true shift begins, not in desperately trying to change the world around you, but in fundamentally changing the way you see, feel, and believe within you. And once that internal shift truly begins, the field moves with you, gently, lovingly, and consistently. The quantum field, it often sounds mysterious, doesn't it? Almost untouchable, like something reserved for scientists in white coats, poring over abstract theories that float high above our daily lives. But what if I told you that this field is not only incredibly real but that you are completely immersed in it, right now, in this very moment? What if the quantum field isn't something to be studied from afar, but something that you live, breathe, and actively influence, every single moment of your existence. Let's begin by reimagining what reality actually is. We've been conditioned, most of us, to think of matter, tables, our bodies, buildings, as solid, fixed things. But the closer science looks, the more it finds space. Vast, almost incomprehensible space. At the subatomic level, what appears so solid to our senses is mostly empty. And the tiny particles that do exist? They don't behave like tiny, predictable billiard balls. They behave more like waves, like vibrations, like shimmering fields of pure possibility. Now, just pause with that for a second. You are not made of static stuff. You are made of patterns, of frequencies, of light. You are, in essence, a ripple in a vast sea of intelligence. And so is everything else. The quantum field is that sea. It's the invisible, energetic blueprint beneath all perceivable form. Everything, your thoughts, your emotions, your physical body, your relationships, arises from and is intricately connected through this unified field. It's not out there, it's the very fabric of your being. Imagine the quantum field as a vast, infinite ocean of pure potential. In this ocean, nothing has taken a fixed form yet, but absolutely everything is possible. When you place your focused attention, charged with genuine emotion, on something specific, a desire, an intention, a state of being, you are, in effect, collapsing one of those infinite potentials into your experienced reality. Now, this isn't about forcing outcomes through sheer willpower, it's about consciously aligning with desired possibilities. When you consistently dwell in a state of lack or fear, you tend to collapse reality towards experiences of scarcity. When you consistently dwell in a state of gratitude and abundance, you begin to collapse reality into experiences of abundance. Not always instantly, not always in a perfectly linear fashion, but inevitably. Because the field responds to your sustained energy, not just your sporadic effort. This is why your inner work, the work you do on your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, matters so much more than just frantic, external action. You simply cannot out-hustle your dominant vibration. You cannot truly manifest lasting joy from an underlying place of fear. The quantum field doesn't speak English, or Vietnamese, or Spanish, or any human language. It speaks frequency. It speaks coherence. It listens to how you genuinely feel, not just to what you say you want. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt someone's energy before they even said a word? That's the field. Have you ever thought of someone out of the blue, right before they called or texted you? That's the field. Have you ever just known, deep in your gut, that something was off, even when everything seemed perfectly fine on the surface? That's the field too. You're already connected to it. You always have been. The real shift, the empowerment, comes when you begin to interact with it consciously, intentionally. So, where in your life are you still waiting for external proof before you'll allow yourself to truly believe something is possible? This is the old model of reality, I'll believe it when I see it. But in the quantum model, the opposite is often true, you'll see it when you genuinely, vibrationally believe it. And belief, in this context, isn't just a passive mental agreement, it's an active energetic alignment. When you truly feel that something is true, when you embody that knowing, your body emits that frequency. Your heart, your brain, your entire energy field, they all begin broadcasting a coherent, powerful signal. And the quantum field, being perfectly responsive, begins to echo it back to you. That's not just wishful thinking, that's physics at its most profound. But here's where it gets even more empowering, you don't need to somehow change the entire field, you only need to change the signal you send into it. If you wake up each day expecting things to go wrong, bracing yourself for disappointment, or carrying yesterday's grief and frustration into today's creation, you are, unfortunately, sending a scrambled, incoherent signal. And the field doesn't judge it, it simply responds to what it receives. But, when you begin to wake up with a different question, a different intention, something like, what beauty, what magic, what opportunity is already unfolding for me today? You begin to emit clarity. You begin to attract synchronicity. Not because you've somehow hacked the system, but because you've remembered that you are the system, an integral part of it. Everything is energy, but not all energy is equal in its effect. High-frequency emotions, like love, awe, joy, deep gratitude, don't just feel good, they create magnetic, coherent waves in your heart's electromagnetic field, which then positively influence your brain, your body chemistry, and the energy you project. Conversely, low-frequency emotions, like shame, guilt, chronic anxiety, tend to create chaotic, incoherent waves. When you truly understand this, you stop judging your emotions so harshly and instead start observing them as valuable data. You can then consciously ask, is this the energy, the frequency, I want to be sending out into the field today? The field cannot be deceived. You may tell yourself affirmations all day long, but if you do so from an underlying place of fear, or a desperate need for control, the signal is distorted, it's incongruent. This is why so many people try to manifest and end up feeling frustrated. They are speaking words of abundance while their body is vibrating with a feeling of unworthiness. They are visualizing success while their nervous system is bracing for failure. Let's just pause for a moment and truly feel into this. If the quantum field is indeed shaped by frequency, and your frequency is profoundly shaped by your dominant emotions and thoughts, then your consciousness, your inner landscape, is literally the architect of your reality. It's the silent builder, the painter behind the canvas of your life. And here lies the quiet revolution: your beliefs are not just psychological constructs, they are energetic signatures. They create an invisible scaffolding around your life, guiding what can and cannot easily enter your experience. The stories you consistently tell yourself become the subtle limits of what you allow yourself to see and receive. The thoughts you repeat become like instructions to the field. But most of us aren't even consciously aware of many of the core beliefs we carry. We inherit them from our families, absorb them from our culture, defend them as truth, and often, we suffer unnecessarily because of them. What did you grow up believing about love? About success? About what you're truly worthy of? These deeply ingrained beliefs shape your vibrational baseline, not because they are objective facts, but simply because they are familiar. And what is familiar often becomes what our system perceives as safe, even if it actually hurts us, even if it keeps us small. It's not your fault. Your nervous system, in many ways, is primarily wired for survival, not necessarily for conscious, joyful expansion. It often prefers the predictable, even if it's painful, over the unknown possible, even if that unknown holds immense joy. But your spirit, your consciousness, your true essence, it longs to evolve, to rise, to remember that you are not here just to repeat old patterns. You are here to consciously rewrite them. So, what do you believe, deep down, about what is truly possible for you? This isn't just a reflective question, it's a quantum question. Because the field responds to what you really believe, to what you embody as true, not just to what you hope is true. You might consciously affirm, I am abundant, but if you unconsciously believe, I'm not enough, or, there's never enough, then in this inner conflict, your frequency becomes scrambled. The field hears static instead of a clear signal. To truly, lastingly shift your reality, you must bring your conscious desires into resonant harmony with your subconscious truths. This is the art of achieving coherence. And coherence is the language of creation. And here's a beautiful paradox: to truly believe in a new reality, you often have to let go of that desperate needing it to appear immediately. Why? Because that sense of urgency, that grasping, often comes from an underlying feeling of lack. And lack is a frequency. When you need something to happen, you are energetically confirming that it hasn't happened yet, that it's absent. And the field, ever the perfect mirror, reflects that absence. But when you begin to trust, gently, patiently, completely, that your energy, your being, has already aligned with the desired outcome, the field begins to bend, to respond. Not from pressure, but from pure presence. Can you see how this completely flips everything we've typically been taught? We're often told to push, to strive, to achieve. But in the quantum world, manifestation is much more like tuning a radio. You don't build the music, you tune into its existing frequency. You don't force reality, you join it. You become a vibrational match for it. So, the real work isn't about just getting what you want, it's about becoming who you need to be in order to naturally, effortlessly receive it and sustain it. This is where consciousness truly comes in, not as an abstract philosophy, but as an embodied practice. You begin to think in alignment with love, to speak in alignment with your truth, to act in alignment with abundance. Not because you're pretending, but because you're consciously practicing a new frequency until it becomes your natural, default state. Ask yourself, what thought would I need to believe, right now, if my dream were already true? Hold that thought. Feel it in your body. Breathe into it. This is how we begin to shift, gently, from the inside out. We often think transformation must be loud, dramatic, or sudden. But in the quantum field, true, lasting change is often incredibly subtle. It happens at the level of your being, a soft shift in perception, a slightly deeper inhale, a more surrendered heart. There's no need to force your way into a new life, you only need to consciously stop rehearsing the frequency of the old one. This is the practice, the daily, moment-by-moment invitation to become aware of your thoughts, not to judge them, but to simply witness them, to gently ask, is this thought building the reality I consciously choose? And if not, you get to choose again, lovingly, repeatedly, consistently. Now, this isn't about bypassing pain or pretending difficulties don't exist. It's about becoming radically honest with your inner state. It's about recognizing that most of our perceived limitations don't actually come from the world out there, they come from the way we've been conditioned to perceive it. When you shift your perception, you shift your energy. When you shift your energy, you shift your signal. And when your signal changes, the field responds. Not someday. Now. So, what happens when your inner world becomes consistently rooted in feelings of safety, possibility, and love? Your outer world inevitably begins to reflect that back to you. People respond to you differently. Opportunities feel magnetic, almost effortless. Coincidences become beautiful confirmations. And life, in general, begins to flow with more grace and ease. Not because the world itself has fundamentally changed, but because you have. This isn't magic in the traditional sense, this is mastery. And it begins the very moment you stop trying to make things happen and instead focus on becoming the kind of person things naturally, joyfully happen for. The quantum field doesn't reward frantic effort, it responds to profound coherence. And coherence begins with clarity, with consciously choosing thoughts that align with your deepest truth, with lovingly letting go of the beliefs that once protected you but now inevitably confine you. You are not broken. You are not late. You are not behind. You are simply learning how to remember who you truly are, a powerful, conscious being, co-creating with a field of infinite love and intelligence. And the more you trust that truth, the more life will begin to mirror it back to you with breathtaking beauty. There is a quieter path to transformation, one that doesn't require you to push harder, perform more, or endlessly try to fix yourself. It is the path of gentle shifting, a soft but incredibly profound redirection of your energy, your attention, your very being. In this sacred space, you don't force change, you allow it. Most of us are conditioned to associate transformation with intense effort, with striving, with struggle. But what if the most powerful shifts, the most lasting changes, don't happen through force at all, but through deep, authentic surrender? Now, let's be clear, surrender, in this context, is not about giving up. It's not about passivity or resignation. It is about consciously letting go of resistance. It is that pivotal moment when you stop trying to control every single outcome and begin to genuinely trust the inherent intelligence of the field itself. It's the conscious decision to partner with reality, rather than constantly wrestling it into the shape you think it should take. When you align with your intention, not as a rigid demand but as a clear, heartfelt direction, you begin to walk in beautiful harmony with the natural current of creation. You become more fluid, more responsive, more in tune. And the field, recognizing this profound coherence, begins to gently reshape the world around you. Have you ever noticed that when you're deeply relaxed, creative ideas flow much more easily? That love feels more accessible, more present? That solutions to problems often appear when you're no longer actively overthinking them? This isn't just a coincidence, it's physics in action. Your nervous system, when it's relaxed and regulated, creates a state of coherence in your heart and brain. This coherence emits a powerful, stable, magnetic frequency. And the field absolutely loves coherence. It flows toward it, like water naturally flowing toward an open, inviting stream. So, why do we still try to push so hard sometimes? Often, it's because we fear letting go. We think if we stop trying, if we stop controlling, we'll lose everything, or nothing will happen. But the beautiful paradox is this: the moment you genuinely stop chasing your desired reality is often the very moment it starts effortlessly coming toward you. When you release that tight grip of attachment, you release energetic distortion. You stop injecting doubt and impatience into your signal. And that clarity, pure, simple, trusting clarity, is like a powerful magnet in the quantum field. It's not about pretending you're okay when you're not. It's about being fully present with what is, while simultaneously holding a clear, loving space for what can be. This is the art of soft intention. You set the direction, not from a place of desperation or need, but from a place of deep devotion, of quiet knowing. You say to the field, I trust this vision. I align with its frequency. I am joyfully ready to receive it, however and whenever it comes, for my highest good and the highest good of all. And then, you come back to the present moment, to your breath, to the ongoing practice of embodying that frequency. Ask yourself, gently, where in my life am I still trying to force an outcome that actually longs to unfold naturally, in its own perfect time? This simple question can open a portal. It reveals where your energy is still tight, contracted, or stuck. And in that awareness, you begin the gentle shift. Shifting your reality gently is not a passive act, it is one of deliberate softness, of fierce, unwavering surrender. It is choosing to believe in beauty, even when you don't yet see it with your physical eyes. It's holding your chosen frequency steady, even when your mind screams for external evidence. It's staying present and centered, even when your old self wants to react in familiar, limiting ways. And it is this consistent practice, this moment-to-moment recalibration, that turns heartfelt intention into tangible, embodied reality. The truth is, you don't need to do more, you often need to simply become more aligned. And to do that, you return, again and again, to the vibrational essence of your future self. You ask, how would I feel if this were already done? How would I act if I knew it was already unfolding perfectly? How would I speak if I were already completely free? And you begin to live from that sacred space, right now. Not because you're faking it, but because you're claiming it, embodying it. This is the very essence of gentle shifting. You don't force reality to change, you become the version of you that naturally, effortlessly lives in that new, desired reality. Every breath, every choice, every moment becomes like a vote for the timeline you truly wish to step into. You stop waiting for the world to shift, you become the shift. And in this space of embodied alignment, things begin to flow. Not because life has suddenly become perfect or without challenges, but because your energy has become clean, coherent. You no longer oscillate wildly between trust and fear, you learn to dwell more consistently in alignment. And alignment is true power. You'll notice more synchronicities. You'll meet people who beautifully reflect your new vibration. You'll receive ideas and insights that feel more like remembering than thinking. And most of all, you'll feel lighter, not because all your problems have magically vanished, but because you're no longer carrying the immense weight of internal resistance. Can you allow life to surprise you? Can you surrender that pressing need to know exactly how things will unfold, and instead, trust that your aligned energy is already creating the path, moment by moment? This isn't laziness, this is advanced spiritual maturity. It is the deepest form of responsibility, not primarily over your outer actions, but over your inner alignment. It means waking each day and consciously asking, what frequency am I choosing to tune into right now? It means choosing again, with compassion for yourself, even when you falter, especially when you falter. Gentle shifting is not always a linear process. Some days will feel easy, expansive, and full of flow. Others may feel dense, challenging, or unclear. But the practice remains the same: return to presence. Return to your intention. Return to trust. And the field will respond, not always with loud fireworks, but often with gentle whispers, with subtle nudges, with quiet moments of grace that lovingly remind you, yes, this is working. Yes, you are creating. Yes, reality is responding. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are simply learning how to stop resisting the magnificent truth of who you are. And when you finally, fully relax into that knowing, everything begins to rearrange around you, gently, lovingly, and inevitably. When you begin truly living from the quantum field, not just understanding it intellectually, but deeply embodying its principles, you step into an entirely new rhythm of life. One that feels less like a constant reaction to external events and more like a profound remembering of your innate creative power. Less like struggle and more like a beautiful, harmonious symphony. Living from the field means you no longer primarily create from the echoes of your past, you create from the vibrant potential of the present moment, anchored in a future reality that already exists for you, vibrationally. You become a living bridge between the invisible realm of intention and the visible world of manifestation, between who you've been and who you are joyfully, consciously becoming. You walk through the world not just as a person, but as a palpable presence. And that presence, that aligned energy, subtly but powerfully affects everything and everyone it touches. People will begin to sense something different in you, a calmness, a clarity, a warmth that isn't easily explained by your words alone. You'll no longer feel the need to convince, or impress, or prove anything. You simply are. And that authentic beingness becomes incredibly magnetic. Because when you live from the field, you no longer chase reality, you tune into it. You speak, move, and breathe from the inherent frequency of the life you've consciously chosen to align with. And this alignment, remember, is not about achieving some state of static perfection, it's about energetic integrity. Living from the field means noticing when your energy slips, when an old pattern tries to resurface, and then gently, lovingly recalibrating it. It means catching that thought of lack and meeting it with conscious presence, with a breath of abundance. It means feeling that wave of fear arise and still, courageously, choosing to trust. It is not always easy, especially at first, but it is always, always worth it. Because every single time you choose coherence over chaos, intention over conditioned reaction, love over fear, you strengthen your signal, you clarify the field around you, you more deeply embody your future, right here in the now. But let's ground this in your daily life. What does it truly look like to live from the field, day in and day out? It looks like starting your day with a moment of quiet connection, instead of immediately diving into control mode or a list of anxieties. It looks like asking your heart, not just your calendar, what truly wants to be created through me today. It looks like consciously pausing between tasks to simply breathe into your core intention, to recenter yourself. It means releasing that frantic need to rush, because you're cultivating a deep trust in divine timing, in the natural unfolding of things. It means setting healthy boundaries, not from a place of fear or defensiveness, but from a place of profound self-love and respect. It means trusting your intuition, your inner guidance, even when it doesn't yet make complete logical sense to your analytical mind. It means showing up for your desires with unwavering devotion, not with underlying desperation. It means consciously choosing to feel the elevated emotions of your future fulfilled, right now, even if your current external circumstances haven't fully caught up yet. And when they don't seem to be catching up as fast as you'd like, you don't panic, you compassionately realign. Because you know, deep down, that the external world is simply a lagging mirror. It often takes a little time for the dense physical field to fully reflect your new, higher frequency. But you don't wait for the external evidence, you become the living, breathing evidence yourself. This is the discipline of energetic integrity. When challenges arise, and they will, you don't automatically regress into old, limiting patterns. Instead, you might ask, what is this moment teaching me about my current frequency? How can I meet this with my new, empowered self? When delays appear, you don't collapse into doubt or frustration. You remember, everything is always working out in my favor, even when I can't yet see how. When life feels still, or quiet, or like nothing is happening, you don't panic. You know that the quantum field often rearranges realities in that sacred silence. You stop measuring your progress solely by what you have externally, and you begin measuring it by who you are consistently being internally. And here's the miracle, as your internal frequency consistently stabilizes at this new, higher level, so does your world. The people, the opportunities, the experiences that truly align with your authentic vibration begin to find you, often in ways that feel effortless, serendipitous, almost divinely orchestrated. You don't control them into existence, you receive them, because you've finally become energetically available to them. So, ask yourself this profound question: am I truly willing to live as if my highest timeline is already unfolding, right now? This question isn't an invitation to pretend or to engage in wishful thinking. It is a deep invitation to embody. To live as if love is already here. As if abundance is already flowing. As if peace is already your natural, default state. Because it is. Underneath all the noise, all the fear, all the conditioning, it always has been. Living from the field isn't just a technique, it's a way of being. It's a profound remembering of your true, magnificent nature. It's a devotion to the invisible, a deep trust in what you feel and know, even before you see it with your physical eyes. And the more you live this way, the more you discover a new kind of security, not the kind that comes from external certainty, but the kind that arises from unshakable internal alignment. You stop needing guarantees from the outside, you become the guarantee yourself. You stop waiting for life to prove something to you, you realize that you are the proof. You stop trying to manifest things to somehow complete you. You know, with every fiber of your being, that nothing external can ever add to the profound completeness that already exists within you. And this is where the deepest magic truly unfolds. When you live from the field, reality itself becomes gentle. Not always easy, perhaps, but imbued with a sense of grace, aliveness, responsiveness, and sacredness. Because you are no longer creating from a place of perceived separation, you are creating from a place of profound, resonant wholeness. So, I ask you now, what would it truly mean for you to live from that place? To meet each moment not with conditioned fear, but with chosen frequency? To show up not as someone desperately seeking, but as someone joyfully remembering? To stop waiting for life to become beautiful, and instead, to begin living beautifully, from the inside out, right now? You already hold the code. You already carry the signal. You already are the vibration. All that's left is to trust it, to live it, to be it, fully and unapologetically.